Hi, everybody. This is parent coach Janet Bonnin of Fine Tuned Families, welcoming you to another great Wise Parents, Wise Kids chat. We started Wise Parents, Wise Kids a while back to help bring information to parents on how to parent smarter, to bring in information from fellow parents, from teachers, from counselors, from all kinds of people who help us raise our kids. Today, we got this wonderful conversation that we are continuing in a series that we're calling Teacher Talk. We invited various teachers from elementary, middle, and high school in to talk to us about some ideas for helping our kids do their best in this school year, helping our kids enjoy learning or grow to learn, love learning even more, and helping our kids get on the path to success as young adults and as adults. First off, I'm going to welcome my friend and partner in crime, Angela Woodrow, to the chat. Hi, Angela.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. It was a long day. I have the privilege and honor to service clients across the continental United States. So there was a lot of writing and hopping of time zones today.
Yeah, Angie and our guest, Dottie Miller, and myself, we're 2 hours apart. So we had to do some making sure we were all on the same sheet, I guess you'd say, to make sure we're online at the same time. So our special guest today is a dear friend of mine. She happens to be my sister-in-law. She's also a fantastic veteran high school teacher. Her name is Dottie Miller. And I'm going to let Dottie tell us a little bit about herself, but Dottie's going to talk to us today specifically about some of her experiences teaching high school students and some of the advice she'd like to give all of us parents. Welcome, Dottie.
Hi, Janet. Hi, Angie.
Hi, Dottie.
Thanks for being here. Why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
Okay. My name is Dottie, and I have been teaching for 27 years. Both in the core content area and in the elective areas, which is where I am right now. I taught language arts at the high school level for many, many years, and I've switched to certified technical educator in the area of culinary arts.
Wow. Is that it?
Yeah.
I see on your successes making a really good burger, so I should drive down the road and have one, huh?
Come and try one.
And where is it that you live, Dottie?
I live in Boring, Oregon, and I teach in Portland, Oregon at David Douglas High School, which is the largest public high school in Oregon.
Wow. And in the culinary arts, I happen to know she's a great cook. We're all many of us, the family, is from Louisiana. And so I know some of the wonderful foods she brings up to Oregon is some wonderful Cajun food, right, Dottie?
Absolutely. I think that's the key. A little bit of something different, and people really enjoy that.
So we only got a quick amount of time to talk, and let's jump in. I wanted to hear from your experience as a high school teacher, from your many years teaching in various subject areas. What are some tips you would have for helping students have a stellar school year? What's some wisdom you might share with parents in that area?
Okay, a couple of things. And one of the things I did do was I asked my coworkers, knowing that this interview was coming up, I asked my coworkers, what are some things that they recommend? And because this is a multi-ethnic, low socioeconomic high school, we try to focus on quick things that parents should do. The first thing is get your kid to school on time. Number one, just because they look like adults and they seem like mature individuals, they're still kids. Their brains are still forming. And you have to get them at school on time, even if it means you have to wake them up really early and whatever. Make sure they have all of their supplies, that they are equipped and ready to go, that they have everything in their backpacks in order to make the day a success. You have to set them up for success.
That's wonderful, wonderful place to start. We had a guest, another fellow teacher and friend, Karen Aiken, was on talking about the elementary years, and she said the same thing. Help them set themselves up for success in the case of the high schoolers. Help the elementary kids set up for success by helping them be as organized as possible around the house, keeping track of homework and backpacks and all of that, and doing your best to help them get up in time so they don't feel so rushed and so stressed. It starts the morning so much better, and it can set them up to have a much better school day to do that too, right?
I think.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Angie.
Yeah, I was just going to say it helps every member of the family that has to get out the door to anything, whether it's school or whatever, just having that routine. And really, we're humans, we're creatures of habit. We all kind of resonate in and are comforted by routines. The challenge is making the routines appropriate, not staying up too late, because it's easy to stay up later, and put things off or hang out until the 11 o'clock news is over, or whichever sport team you're following on the planet, whichever sports season it is, So it's just a matter of intentionally focusing as a family, having that conversation and building those good habits.
And I'm going to jump in here. We're not going to go too much further down this one, but high school years is also a good time to expect a lot of your high schoolers, but to also give them some power over their own schedule. So I'm going to push back just a little bit in some of that, because they've got to get good habits going that I hope they've gotten going through the elementary and middle school years. They have to own a lot of that a little bit more, because they're getting ready to head off to college or to a technical school or something else after they graduate from high school. So they've got to have a lot of this going on inside.
Absolutely. Natural consequences are wonderful. But if a kid is consistently late in the morning, having a hard time getting up, there has to be a radical change in that kid's routine. And if they don't, just because they look like an adult doesn't mean that they're going to be able to do that on their own. It really does. They really do still need guidance with that, a little bit of flexibility and autonomy as well.
Absolutely. Amen. So there's your point right there. Just because your teens look like an adult doesn't mean that he or she can think like one. Don't expect them to make mature decisions. All right, what's next?
And I think if you look right here, my observation, even the most mature teen is still a child. Treat every opportunity or every incident or situation as a learning opportunity. It's not the end of the world. Things like I lost my textbook, I left it at my friend's house. It's not the end of the world. It's not a big fight. A kid forgot to meet up with a teacher. It's not the end of the world. There's always a learning opportunity. It could be learning that you need to write your schedule. You need to be aware of the time. You need to write your schedule better. Kid maybe forgets his lunch or his lunch card. Well, the learning opportunity here is, yes, you were hungry. Now you know what that feels like. Let's learn how to do this in a more consistent and appropriate way. There's all kinds of learning opportunities.
Very good. Very good. And by the way, you were talking about natural consequences. Some of the other things we talk about sometimes are logical consequences. Back with the food card, the meal card example, if that becomes a problem, then maybe one of the other things is that they have to have their own money in their pocket to be prepared to buy themselves a meal if they're so hungry and they've forgotten the card yet again. The money comes out of their pocket instead of out of your pocket. All right, what's next?
Let's look at the next one. There are two ways, and I've been teaching these teenagers a long, long time. There's
Mhm.
two ways to look at things. Look at or approach your whole high school career. One is to create a game, and the other is to approach it like it's a business. The first one as a game. And all of these kids play video games, all kinds of games. When they're playing these multi-platform games and they have to have their collecting tokens or collecting tools or weapons or power-ups or all of those other things, those can be equated to the same things and skills and lessons that they learn in high school. They have to have them in their backpacks, their toolkit, whatever it is, to take to the next level. And you earn things along the way. It seems like a long time, a term or a semester or a grading period or whatever it is, but it's still, you earn those rewards, and those rewards build you up, move you to the next level. It could be mastering a skill, it could be a grade, it could be earning a small certification or something, but it does move the kid to the next level. And if they can approach it like that and think in that mindset, it really does help them reach that goal. They plan it in a game that way, they can plan it in high school.
It's a very good point, and the idea of floating this idea as treating this as a game, but a game that needs to be taken seriously, right?
Absolutely.
But making it as
they take their games very seriously.
as
This is
making
true.
making this as fun as it can be and as engaging as it can be. I was in high school a long time ago, but I can remember during those high school years, to a certain degree for myself, keeping myself a bit organized and doing my best on each of the tests, the exams I had, and things like that. I was competing against myself to forever do a little bit better than I did the last time I took something on, and there was a reward in that. I was learning, but I was also challenging myself, I guess you'd say.
That is, there are still several, there's a large percentage of the student body that does that. But there is another one that really, they don't know that they can challenge themselves. They don't have the family history that shows them, that can show them what the goal is. So they want to get to graduation. And that is like, for many students, especially at our school, that they might be the first person to graduate from high school. And that is an achievement that is like, like no other. It is a huge, huge celebration after graduation. And I've been to every graduation at Douglas, but it's a huge celebration with whole families. And we've had parents fly in and grandparents fly in from Tibet to go to a graduation. It's really one of those things, and that is a goal that they can achieve.
How exciting, and how memorable too. And I would imagine too that other students for whom it may not be quite as challenging or quite as big of an event for the whole family, that it impresses them to see so many people celebrating this achievement.
Absolutely. Janet, when you and I, and probably Angie, were in school, high school was just a step. Mm-hmm. Graduation was just a step. I had, for me, I didn't even know that there was a choice where some people didn't go to college. I didn't even know that. So graduating high school was just like a first step. For these kids, it is everything. And so when they look at it like a game, and they're maneuvering in that game, and they're planning and strategizing, it's really very, very important that they can kind of see how to get to that goal. It's an interesting experience.
Yeah, it's true on every level. If you can picture yourself doing it, then you're that much more likely to achieve it. That whole philosophy of the psychology of the story that you tell yourself, it's the story that you live out, really does reflect on these models. And I, being a a business coach and consultant and advocate across the board. Small business owners, large business corporations, everyone has to continue to learn. That I'm in this because everybody has to continue learning. High school is not the end, it's the beginning. So I love the way you frame it for that high school population to understand about the fact that this is a business. And right now your full-time job is going to school. And you know,
and that's my other plan, is going the other way, that some kids, the game model doesn't really work. So a business model. I'm the employer as the teacher.
Yeah.
What does your employer want? Think about what the job entails and plan for it. Big thing, get to school on time. Do your work with integrity. That's a huge one. I've really pushed that piece. And it just so happens that the Certified Technical Education program that I'm in focuses on professionalism. And there are 9 different attributes. And one of them is character. And that is, you know, your integrity, who you are as a core. We really, really work on that. Treating other people as equals, you know, that you are a part of a team, not an individual, or an isolate. A lot of kids feel like they're alone. If they feel like they're part of a group, if they can follow the classroom rules, and behave in a school appropriate way, classroom decorum, office decorum, has to do with dress, has to do with, you know, greeting each other, that sort of thing. It's very, very important for that kid. The other piece is to push yourself a little bit. I have students that will, you know, want to do the minimum. If I don't do the study guide and I still pass the test,
right,
I don't want to do it that way. I want them to do the study guide and pass the test. You have to do both. But those kids that are struggling, or if they feel, you know, that this is too difficult, I want them to tell me. I want them to advocate for themselves. But if they see somebody else struggling, I want them to advocate for that person as well. I also want them to come up and have a suggestion. Say, hey, Mrs. Miller, let's try this. Can we do that? That one is one of my favorites. Those, I try really hard to make that happen for a kid, because I want them to see that their ideas are valued. Just pushing forth the idea of excellence. I know that I am not perfect. Perfection never worked for me. But to be the best that I can be at what I'm doing, even if it's, you know, mediocre at best, if it's the best I can do, that's excellence. I don't let it be mediocre, though. I'm not going to let it be mediocre.
yeah.
And I love the idea of showing initiative, encouraging the students to show initiative, encouraging our kids, as parents, encouraging our kids to come up with alternate ideas of ways to do things. It gives us the chance to show them that we value their opinions. We value their creativity. We value and want to listen to what they have to say. And I would imagine in some situations, they may feel like they haven't been listened to on that level.
Let me just share one little quick story, and I know we're going to run out of time here, but one little quick story of a student I had whose mother and father both let him plan their vacations. So they had a 2-week vacation, and he would plan where they go. He was given a budget. He'd plan where they'd go, what activities they'd do. He'd actually make the reservations and all of that. And then they would go do that vacation. And they did it 2 summers in a row. And I had the kid for 4 years, but they did it 2 summers in a row. And then the next summer, they turned it over to his little brother, and his little brother did it. And they did that vacation, and they had a wonderful time. It was a perfect opportunity of parents letting their kids, respecting their kids' decisions. And I thought that was the greatest thing. That's
amazing that they showed that much trust in what he was doing and allowed him to do that.
It's 100% way to make sure your kids have buy-in in the vacation. You know,
that's true.
Absolutely.
It's on them.
Absolutely. They did things that kids wanted to do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty awesome.
Sounds great. So is there anything else that you'd like to add right here? Any other final thoughts?
every day is a new day. You can't hold something from one day to the next on your kid, except for responsibilities. But every day, encourage your kids to see school as something very, very important. It is important. It's critical. A lot of parents don't, they'd rather have their kids stay home and babysit, or let's go get our nails done, or something else. No, school comes first. It's important. And that's one of those things that we really would like parents to hear. School comes first.
And your education is your job right now. It is your main job, right?
That's a tough one for kids too, and parents, especially in like a low socioeconomic area. That's tough for them to see. However, it's necessary.
So what is this I see here about urgency?
Your sense of urgency and their sense of urgency will not always be in sync.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Did I write that? What are some about? Okay. So one of the things that I did with my own child is, things that needed to be done. And I would always say, Brianna, I'd like for you to get your homework done this evening. I'd like you to get these 15 math questions done this evening. Tomorrow night, you're not going to be able to do it. And she'll say, well, do you need it on mama time or Brianna time? I need it on mama time, so get it done tonight, And that always worked for chores, and it worked for schoolwork. It worked for, anything. You do this on mama time, or if it's not that critical, do it on Brianna time. And
oh, sorry, go ahead, Dottie.
It gave her flexibility.
Right. And you as a family had some language that defined those boundaries, so that when she used those key phrases, mama time or Brianna time, you both had come to an understanding of what that meant. So having those conversations so everything isn't in crisis mode really does help a family just ease through the different days. I refer to that time when everybody comes home until after dinner and you're falling into bed as the hurricane hour. You just don't know, but you don't know where it's going to come from, but you know that a problem is going to occur. And just having an understanding of each other's boundaries, their sense of time, their sense of urgency versus your sense of urgency is so very helpful. And even though we said at the beginning, just because they look like an adult doesn't mean that they understand and act and function like an adult. This slide here for me really kind of reinforces the importance of revisiting those things. If nothing else, this and being a parent of a teenager signifies that your conversations are not one and done. You have to revisit them all the time, just because their brains are still forming and shaping. And if it's not important to them, they're not going to remember it as much as you are. So.
Absolutely. And common language, like you said, was so important. Brianna and I rarely disagreed. She rarely, ever fell down on her responsibilities. Almost never. Because she understood what my sense of urgency was, and she understood how that worked out. And it worked beautifully.
And she respected that. I know that. She loved you, and she respected your sense of urgency and appreciated the times when it was on Brianna time. I know she did. So we've got a few resources to share, and I'm going to turn this over to Angie right now. And what do we have, Angie?
Well, Parenting Teens, this website here, parenting becomes less about the control and more about offering guidance. We have a conversation coming up in the Wise Parents, Wise Kids. It's already taken place about how you parent your children at each season of their life. So your preschool years and your elementary school years and your middle school years and your high school years are all about the different ways that you can have conversations with your children. So this is a good, it's a PDF. So parents, it's all words. There's no video or pictures or anything. But what I love is that it really does approach family communication, and things that you can talk to and should talk about with your team from a medical health standpoint. The work was done in Berry County, Michigan, and it's based off the work of Patricia Lynn, and she was a school counselor in that area. So she put together this guide, which I found really valuable, and everything that I recommend, I kind of treat it like a cookbook. If you can open it up and go to the area that the subtitle that you're concerned about and read it and see the ingredients you need to have a successful talk about X, Y, or Z with your child, then that's the kind of resource that I want to be able to recommend. Go to, easy, sound foundations and principles, but treat it like a cookbook. Go in and get the ingredients you need and, get ready to fry it up quick. So interesting that I use that analogy. And Dottie teaches culinary arts. So.
And it sounds like Angie's getting hungry, so we probably. Hey, Dottie, thank you so very much for being our guest today. We really, really enjoyed having you on the show and hearing some of your wisdom for how to help kids better embrace their high school years and bring the best of what they've got to their high school years. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Thank you for inviting me, Janet. It was nice to see you again, Angie.
Nice to see you too. Thanks.
All right, everybody. Thank you again, Angie, for being my co-pilot and for your contributions this evening.
Yep, and don't forget, you can contact Fine Tune Families on the web, Twitter at Janet Bonnin, and on our Facebook page, Fine Tune Families. And Janet can also be reached at LinkedIn. Everybody, have a great evening. Talk to you later.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.